Hi, I'm Maysha, and welcome to As Long as You're Breathing. Today, we're going to be talking about spiritual awakening and how it's really about your life, your story. And what inspired this episode? Well, one of my favorite gurus, one of the few people actually that I listen to on a pretty regular basis and actually share what he has to say and recommend is Master Surya Koshner. And one of the people that I frequently share his stuff with actually shared something of his with me today. And it's something that I've seen for several days now, and I've been meaning to listen to and just didn't get a chance to. And he's talking about the chaos that can ensue during a spiritual awakening, especially if spiritual awakening seems to be taking us a long time. And he used the term that we could quantum leap within our spiritual awakening. So that's kind of where I want to pick up today. But first, I'm not going to use his line at all, but I do have an opening that I would like to share with you all. So I reworked it a little bit. So y'all let me know what you think of it, okay? Oh, got to add it to the story.
It's not over till over until you start. Make the end God find you on your own mountain top. As long as you're breathing, keep living. 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 As long as you're breathing, keep living.
So I hope y'all like that one better. I like it much better than the other one. So, and that was a lot of fun. That was just me playing with my laptop yesterday and a lot of effects because the background needed to be obscured. So, yeah, just having a little fun there. So, I hope y'all enjoy it though. But, so quantum leaping within spiritual awakening. What is it that we want to quantum leap exactly? Why would we want to quantum leap? What exactly, well, what's spiritual awakening for that matter? What are we awakening to? Well, it's really becoming conscious or aware is what we're doing. We're becoming aware. What are we becoming aware of? Well, we're actually becoming aware of reality, and it's not the reality. We're becoming aware of the reality we've been sold versus what reality really is. We're becoming aware of the true nature of things and not what we've been told the nature of things are. We're becoming aware of the fact that our mind, the guardian, our protector, has been programmed from the time we were born with societal programming and expectations of others, and that our traumas that we have experienced, and trauma is anything from emotional trauma to physical trauma to combination of it, the traumas and the effects they have on us, those all program us. And then, of course, for those who believe in the existential, the imprinting on our DNA from past lives that we carry with us, ancestral. And ancestral can also simply be because it's in our family lineage. And so it's passed down from family to family, from generation to generation to generation within families. And so it's how our family always did it. And so that is how we are going to do it. And you can certainly see this in some families. So that's what we're overcoming. That is what we're getting past. That is what we're waking up from, is the notion that those are the things that we let control our lives. We're waking up to the fact that it's our lives, our stories, and we get to write them our way. So now, is there a way to quantum leap all of that? Because that can be quite traumatic to do. It can get quite chaotic. And certainly you would want to quantum leap it. Once you start waking up to the notion that, wait a second, I don't have to let the people in the cheap seats run my life. That's the way I like that's the analogy I use all the time. If it's not you, it's the people in the cheap seats. If you aren't deciding from within you, what your life is going to be, well, it's people in cheap seats are deciding. And sometimes we're like, well, I just go with the flow. Well, there is going with the flow. That's going with the energetic flow, because everything is energy. And yes, we do have to flow. This is true. But then there are those who say, I just go with the flow. And what they really mean is they just go any way that the flow takes them, without any intent. There's no there's no intention in it. They're not putting any of themselves into it. They're at the mercy of the flow. And well, the flow will take you lots of places, and it may take you someplace that here doesn't intend if you don't pay attention. So that's living by default, actually. So that's another whole episode, I'm quite sure. But because we are always manifesting, we are always living, we are always moving, and we are always attracting a lot of stuff to us. So that's the flow we're in, is that what we're attracting to us by the vibrational frequency that we're in. So that's the flow. So if you just live by that flow, well, you could go with whatever that flow is. So you have to have some intentionality about it. Okay? So just that whole, well, I'm just going to go with the flow. Yeah, you need to go with the flow of energy. That is absolutely true. But with intentionality, with intention, or you're living by default. So it's no different than letting the people in the cheap seats do it. You're living at the roll of the dice. You've manifested a bunch of stuff coming at you, and you're just letting it sweep you along, and you're not living from here. You're not living your life. You're living a chaotic life that way too. So that's another whole episode, I'm quite sure. But so how do we quantum leap this whole thing of the people in the cheap seats are running our lives? Well, first of all, we have to realize that the lie we have been told is that the way to do that is self-care, is all of these barriers. That it's all of these, what is the word people even use? Boundaries. Self-care is putting up all of these boundaries. Isolating ourselves. And a boundary is an isolation. A boundary is a wall. Isolating ourselves is not the answer. What we all say we want is freedom. What we're wanting is the freedom to be our true selves. And what we're trying to be free of is the mind. The mind, which is what's not free. The mind is what's locked in this program loop, this loop of programs, one after another. We get it free of one, and well, it just jumps to another one. Because that's what its job is to protect us. And so everything it has been told and has learned, that's where it wants to stay, because that's where it's safe. And we have been convinced that what we already know, what we have learned, well, that's where we need to stay. And that if we follow the heart, the dimension of intuition and imagination, well, we don't know where that's going to take us. That's not safe. Don't do that. Well, that's the lie. Staying safe is not the way that we live in great big capital letters. At the end of people's lives, they never say, I wish I'd played it safe. At the end of people's lives, they talk about the things they wish they had done, the desires of their hearts. They wish they had followed their hearts, not their heads. So it's not another boundary that we need. It's breaking free of the boundaries that we've been put in already. And practicing true self-care is about figuring out what the desires of your heart are. That's the quantum leap to spiritual awakening. Now, once you've figured out what the desires of your heart are, then there's a way to make sure that those are the things that you go after. And we'll get to that in a bit. But first and foremost, you have to realize that the lie we have been told is we live from here, not from here. And that's what's safe. But at the end of your life, you're not going to hear yourself say, boy, I wish I had done what my mind told me. No. I wish I'd done the things that were really in my heart. So that tells you right there what the lie is. It tells you where we're really supposed to be living from, is the heart space. Now, to quantum leap all of that, to quantum leap getting past the societal programming, how do we get to the point that we are living from our heart? Well, we have to first come to know what the desires of our hearts are. That means we have to get to know ourselves. And we have to put ourselves in the position to live a heart-centered life, a heart-centered life, a life centered from our very being. That's not a selfish life. You see, the reason boundaries don't work is because life is about relationship. We are always in relationship, first with self and then with others. And that doesn't mean necessarily that you are in a relationship, but everything is about interaction. And so how you show up in the world and interact has to be authentic. When I was in long-term care, I taught communication styles, behavioral styles. And we did these profiles. And you would tell people, now, take it for the way you behave at work, not the way you are at home or at church or wherever. And if you want to take it that way, we'll provide time for you to do that later. But right now we're focusing on how you behave at work. And we were right to do that. And we would provide time for them to do their home later, and they would see the difference. Boy, what an eye-opener that was for me. I figured out why I liked being at work all the time. I was me, or the closest to me that I ever was at work. At home, I know who that person was because she was scared and in a box and played it safe and all these things. But at work, she was confident. She spoke up. She led. She was exuberant. she was me. And you see, what we now know is they went out with that particular company, went on to develop the behavioral style test profiles for everything. If you're a doctor, if you're this, if you're that, take this one, take this one, take this one. And when I saw that years later, I'm like, oh wow, they finally did that. They needed to do that. No, they didn't. What we needed to do was realize that's, as my daddy would have said, bass backwards. What we needed to do was realize that that was the problem. We were all showing up, denying who we were. We were going to these different places and we were playing roles. Instead of being ourselves and seeing, wow, I don't fit there because I have to be someone else to be there. That's not where the authentic me belongs. I can't be me there. We were changing who we were to fit someplace. I was changing who I was to fit in my own home because of societal programming, because I had been raised. I mean, my daddy, this is the kind of life you should have. And how many of us have let our families tell us how we should be? From the time I was a little girl, I was told you should grow up and you should be this and you should do that. And no, you can't do that. And they don't make good money. So you can't do that and you can't do this. And no, there's no money in that. And well, no, there's no, yeah. And so even though I stood up and was really strong about some things and said, no, it's my life and this, and this, I still acquiesced in so many ways that I didn't even realize I acquiesced in. Because what I ended up acquiescing in were the things that everybody around me was as well. So yeah, I was brave and bold in some ways. Very brave, very bold in some ways. But I acquiesced like everybody else did. I went with the flow in many ways. Now, I'm not talking about, I want to get this out there. Behavioral styles, how we behave, that doesn't mean, when I say that we should not change how we behave for a situation, if your behavioral style is that you are difficult, you need to look at that. Because it's not giving you permission to be difficult with everybody. Well, they just have to take me the way I am. No. If you have difficulty getting along with everyone, if you have difficulty fitting in anywhere, if you have a difficult personality, if your behavior style is difficult, you need to look at you and what you need to heal, because it shouldn't be that way for anyone. So this is not an excuse to say, well, this is just how I am and people are supposed to take me that way because I'm supposed to show up as my authentic self. No. And I've been preaching that now for years too. For those who listen to me, don't take what I say as an excuse to go out and be no. It's just the opposite. If you're finding that about yourself, you really need to be listening, because what I'm saying is there's healing for you to do. There's something for you to discover. All right, so back to how do we quantum leap all that? Well, first and foremost, we realize that we need to be ourselves all the time. And the roles we are playing, we shouldn't be playing any role anyway. We should be plugged into the roles that are right for us. We should be attracting the roles into our lives that are right for us. And then with intentionality, picking and choosing and showing our gratefulness, putting our energy into the ones that are the right ones for us now. Because they're those that were right for us, they're the ones right for us now, and they're ones that are going to be the right for us later. That's how it all works. Now, how do you quantum leap getting there? Well, first you have to accept that. You have to just decide. You have to understand. You have to believe. You have to know. You have to know that you know that you know. But still, I cannot get past the conversation that one of the dearest people in the world and I had about you can't think something, you got to know it. Well, they also said you can't feel it. Well, they were wrong on that part. Feeling is exactly what we have to do because we are energy, and energy is measured in vibrational frequency, and the scale that relates to that frequency is our emotions. Emotion, energy in motion. It is absolutely based on how does it make you feel. At the end of your life, it's I wish I had done this because it was my heart's desire. It's about how you wanted to feel, what you wanted to experience. And experiences are things we feel. So, the first thing you have to do to quantum leap all of this is you have to accept that this thing has its role and it's magnificent. It protects me. It keeps my body going. It lets me multitask. I can walk and chew gum at the same time and drive a car and talk. Most of us. Some of us. Okay, maybe not me, but most people. So, I know some of you laughed at that. Well, she can talk all the time. Well, most of the time, yes. But you know what I mean, folks. So, moving right along. So, we have to get over the fact that while the mind is magnificent, the mind is not what guides us here, folks. It is our intuition. It is our heart. It is our heart's desires. It is what lights us up. The things that light us up for a reason. And yes, I want to get on Dr. Bruce Lipton and the honeymoon effect, but I'm not going to. I'm going to move right along because we're already at 22 minutes. So I'm going to move right along, but it's just the truth. So yeah, go back and listen or look him up or something. Dr. Bruce Lipton and the honeymoon effect. That is how life is supposed to be. That is how we are happy and healthy and whole and complete. Is when we have what lights us up in our lives, and that's what we put our gratitude into. And gratitude is energy. Yeah. So the way we quantum leap all of this is we recognize once and for all that we are stuck in loops that we have to break ourselves free of. And we start living from the heart space. And the way we come to the heart space first is with breath work. It's absolutely with breath work. And there are all sorts of elaborate breath works you could do, alternate nostril breathing, which is amazing. There's all sorts of elaborate types of breath work that we can teach. But you can just stop and just take a deep breath. Just stop and take a deep breath. Get up in the morning and take 10 deep breaths. You're in a situation and you're feeling tense and take 3 deep breaths. Breathe. We're born on an inhale. It is our life force. Air. Breathe. Clean energy in. Everything is energy. What we exhale is impure. It's what's gone through our body and is impure. So energetically, we are breathing in pure and exhaling the impure. So breathe white light in, exhale the darkness out. Breathe in the pure, exhale what needs to go. It starts with the breath. So do that. And then do whatever it takes to get out of your head. There are all sorts of ways to reconnect to self. Meditation is a great way, but there are all sorts of ways to meditate. Walking meditation. Playing music is meditation. Meditation does not have to be sitting and just sitting. There are guided meditations. There are dancing, movement. Movement moves energy. Energy in motion is emotion. Anything that moves our emotions, that raises our emotional state, moves those emotions and it brings our vibration up. And when we're in a higher vibrational state, it's more easy to connect with our true self. It's more easy to transcend. Oh, wow, that's a big word. And you hear it all the time. I'm a transcendent being. Yeah, what that means is you're at the vibrational frequency that lets you know the heart is where we live from, not the mind. That's what transcendence is. It's been thrown around a lot. Are you a transcended person? Yeah, I live from my heart space, not my mind. I'm spiritually awake. Not religiously awake. That's not what spiritually means. It doesn't necessarily have to mean woo-woo awake. Doesn't have to mean that you believe in all the things. You don't have to be an existentialist or any of that. It means you understand that your intuition, your heart space, knows what is best for you. And you're high vibrational. You're staying in your intuition, in your heart space. You're staying with your vibration up, and you are transcending the mind. Because the heart space is connected to energies above the heart dimension. You are allowing the heart dimension to communicate with, to be in relationship with a dimension that transcends the dimension of the mind, the guardian, to a dimension of yourself, a higher dimension, your higher self, or your higher selves, or your guides, or whatever you want to call it, that can see things that you can't. Elizabeth Kipp gave an amazing analogy the other day on one of the shows we did when she said, I may be on a plane and want to go to Chicago, and we may be sitting, say, in Pittsburgh, and the pilot is in control of that plane, and he wants to get me from Chicago to Pittsburgh, and he's in the cockpit, and he's there, but he doesn't know how to get there either. So I can't get us there. The pilot can't get us there. The control tower has to get us there because the control tower can see. So we have to listen to the control tower. That's transcendent thinking. That is understanding. That's a quantum leap. That's a quantum leap. Someone who thinks that, no, I'm on the plane and the pilot's on the plane and we know where we want to go. And so therefore, they're not going to trust a voice that I can't see, or, well, then you're not going to get there because you just get up in the air and just fly around because there's no roadmap. It doesn't work that way. You're not going to get there that way. Not safely. Maybe not at all. Probably not at all. Okay? So, there are many ways to reconnect to yourself and transcend and overcome the mind and all of its programming, so you can quantum leap the chaos of waking up to the fact that, holy smokes, I'm living by programming, not here. Because that's chaotic. When you wake up to that and you're like, and I'm doing it because my family told me this, and the church told me that, and in school they taught me this, and our family's always done that, and all this, and then there's all this stuff that happened to me back there and there and there, and you've got all this stuff to heal from. That's chaotic. That's the chaos. And how do you quantum leap all of that? Breath work. Well, first, you got to realize that all that's true. You have to accept it. And then you do breath work. And then to reconnect to self and do all of that healing, which is how you quantum leap it, is you start doing daily energy hygiene, and you start living by managing your energy every day, because we are energy, and energy, there's no separating energy. People who don't like oneness, people who think that boundaries are the way we are to live. Well, I'm sorry, energy is interconnected. Points of energy transference. Everything is connected. So, managing our points of energy transference in positive energy loops, not disconnected circuits. Not disconnected circuits. You disconnect the circuits, it all stops working. So, boundaries, that's not the answer. It's managing your energy. And you manage your energy by deciding what you put your energy into and what you don't, where your energy goes and where it doesn't. And when you do that, you attract the right things into your life because you're living at the right vibrational frequency. And you do it with intention. This isn't magical thinking. It's not, oh, so she's getting us at the vibrational frequency, and so now everything's coming my way, and I don't have to do anything else because it's just all going to come to me. No, because remember what I told you in the very beginning. Now you got everything that's in that frequency. You got it all coming your way, and some of it was meant for back here, and some of it is for here, and some of it's for there, and some of it may be meant for here, but not with where you want to go there, or you've already done it, and so you don't want it anymore. So no, it has to be with intention. Or you got something back there that you want to keep. And so this stuff coming your way now, it's like, well, I could take that, but no, I want to keep this. This is dear to me. I want to keep it. So I'm going to keep putting my gratitude there. And then you're living your life, your story, your way, because look at the intentionality. That is writing your life, your story, your way. So when you get to the end, life will be what you wanted it to be. And the end is going to have to come find you on your own mountaintop. And you won't be up there saying, I wish I had done it that way. You'll be saying, you're going to have to come a little faster or jump that crevasse there because you're going to have to catch up with me. There's another mountaintop over there and I'm headed that way. And the end is going to have a hard time getting you because you're going to be living in great big capital letters as long as you're breathing. And that's how you quantum leap. Got the link for the daily energy guide, energy management guide down below. There's all kinds of videos there. There's some meditations there. Going to be talking about it. And yeah, I get excited about it, folks. Get a little wound up. It's just who I am. And it's not any different no matter what I'm talking about, what I'm doing, where I'm at. It's who I am. I could take that behavioral style test now, and I don't have to take it for, well, am I with the guy that I want to be with, or am I at work? Am I on a live? No. As long as I'm breathing, this is me. Later, y'all.